All right. Well, hello everybody. Hello, Bettina. How are you today?
Hi, Erica. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. Um, yeah, doing great. Busy week.
That's
Busy
terrific.
week.
Yeah, you guys are having some you guys are doing some formal legal things with Peter's business.
Yeah, he's incorporating, and so there's all sorts of. They keep saying, "Oh, don't worry." The accountant keeps saying, "Don't worry about it. Business as usual." And I'm like, "Well, can I do this?" No. Well, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, "Okay, so it's not really business as usual. It's like a whole new learning curve." And being the good little five that I am, I need to know everything, and I need to know why. So
Yes. Yeah, they've done like hundreds of these, and so they don't even realize what
yeah.
the things are
Although,
actually a big deal in your circle.
yeah, although they're really good, and they're always there to explain things, but not everybody needs an explanation. But it makes more sense to me if I have an explanation. So I just told him up front. I said, like, okay, this is what my character type is like. I am. I need to know everything that I'm expected of me, and I need to know why. Um, so that if kind of freak out, that's why, because I don't have everything I believe that I need.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
sure too, like it's also because you care so much, and Peter entrusts that part of it with you, and giving that power away to somebody else. It's you always hear you're always cognizant of perhaps letting somebody else who's not invested take on these things that mean like everything to you and him.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're just a small company, so it's a big deal for us.
Hmm.
Whereas maybe a larger company, it's all sort of in the day to day routine. But for us, and for me especially, because I do all the admin work, it is a big deal. And so there I am, you know, on the one hand, I'm doing my Course in Miracles lessons every day and really trying to work them into my daily life. And on the other hand, there's this turmoil that's come up that's testing me on integrating it into my daily life. So it's been really interesting, and the amount of awareness that the course brings to that particular experience has been amazing. It's been amazing. So I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for the little things that test me too, which is, you're not so grateful when you're going through it, but after when you look hindsight, when you look at it later, you're very much see how it all worked for your benefit. It was all in your best interest.
Yeah. And that's such a great thing. Like when you do it every day and it's front of mind, you're able to see it so quickly, the triggers or the opportunities in your everyday life, and you become so excited because you're in the mindset, you're in the state of, oh, here's something that I used to would go unrecognized before, and now here's an opportunity for me to apply some of these new principles that I'm relearning, or I'm keeping very much at my fingertips in my dealing with my day-to-day life. It's a great place to be. It's like really exciting because it's like I can't wait for the next challenge. I can't wait for the next, trip up in life so that I can apply these things and get through this one better than the times I have in the past with something similar.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds funny, but it's true. It's like, oh my God, I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. And it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this work. If you're doing it in earnest, if you're really wanting to apply it to your daily life, you get that feeling, like, even if you've learned so much stuff and your life is so much better, there's always ways in which you still have lessons, and you still apply those concepts to the experiences and the challenges. And it's exciting when you get through them with that sense of peace, and you go, oh my God, I did it. It's so great. um, that's what the work is about for me. And I guess that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I can see it in action. I'm not just going about telling people, well, if you do this, it'll work. I know it works because I use it all the time. I'm using it all the time, and I'm not expecting other people to do anything that I wouldn't be prepared to do myself. You know, so yeah, it's been fun, and um, my little study group is growing, which is nice. So and it's attracted all these wonderful people who are really interested and really want to learn, and who probably have picked the book up before and put it down, as we all do in our journey with the Course in Miracles, but have found that in the group setting with a little bit of guidance, it all makes a lot more sense. So it's pretty exciting for me. I'm really excited about teaching it, but also learning and hearing other people's perspectives. And um, that's a bit of a change for me, because that's really playing against my five Enneagram, which says you need to be the expert. I don't. Ooh, I don't. That's exciting too, right? So, um, and I think that they work very well together. Like knowing your character type, and then the A Course in Miracles, that awareness comes into play, and it really helps you to see those old patterns and to undo all the things you've learned. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of something that I wanted to touch on today. Was your group, and for people who haven't ever been to a conscious living group or a Course in Miracle study group, or really any meetup with other people, they can be strangers. I know that in my life, my first introduction really to it was I went to a group when my mom was really sick, and in her last weeks, myself, my brother, and my sister went to a group therapy for people who had family members who were had addictions, and most of it was alcoholics, and I was in this place that I was excited to go, and I had wanted to go for a long time to some form of family therapy or group therapy or therapy about it. Um, and going, the three of us, uh, everybody was a stranger in the room. There was, nine or so other people, not including us three, and there was a facilitator, and then an apprentice facilitator of the group, and it blew away my expectations of how welcome and how supportive a group of strangers can be when you can be vulnerable. When you Sometimes it's so strange in life. We have all these close relationships, and sometimes they're maybe sick a little bit, and we can't be open and we can't be honest, and they're not completely authentic. And then you get in a room with a common intention with strangers, and the people would cry like 20 minutes in, share things that they wouldn't even share with their coworkers, with their family members, the things they wouldn't share with their spouse. They were opening up and laying it all on the table, with very little prompting, and how desperate they were to be seen, and have their pain be seen and have their pain be understood. And they just had faith that other people who were going through the same thing could really see in them. You know, there was a shared experience there, and they just felt so they trusted. But I think the parameters around the group just allowed them to be so open and vulnerable, and how much healing just even saying some of those things were, not to speak anything of the support and the active and visceral support that they got from the people in the group and the facilitator. It was just, it blew away every expectation I could have had. And I had been in individual therapy before, and I had gone to therapy a few times with my parents, just about issues that we were having when I was a teenager, and
Mm-hmm.
I was given a real good hard time. And but this was so much different and so much more beautiful. And then opening myself up to that, and that's how we met, was because of your group, the group that you were running at that time. My goodness, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now. Because I just believe so much in the group dynamic when you unite around a common principle, or a common vulnerability, or a common shared something inside of ourselves. And there's something magical that happens in a group dynamic. And as somebody who's run them for a long time, and I'm sure been part of them as well, um, I'd love for you to speak to what's so special, and I mean, what compels you to do it. And it's out of the goodness of your own heart, and it's something that you really, really enjoy. Um, yeah, tell me about what's magical about it for you.
The feeling when I explain something to somebody, and you see it in their eyes, that absolute awareness and recognition of what you're saying being their truth, and feeling it. And it's, you can just watch someone, you can watch their body language change, you can watch their eyes open wider, their face relax, and kind of that, oh my God, I'm not the only one who believes that this is the way to go. So there's that. There's the excitement of knowing how much it has changed my life, and having people come to the group that are willing to hear and learn and be open to the experience and share their perspectives. That's really the magical part for me. That welcoming people into my space, creating a safe space where so many people don't feel safe enough to show that vulnerability, to express that vulnerability. I want to believe that I'm creating a safe space for people to do that, so that they can share that vulnerability, so they can share where they're coming from, and be open to learning different ways of dealing with it, and letting go of old stuff and patterns and suffering, and really find the peace that is just waiting to be felt inside them. Um, there's so many parts of it that I don't think I could even describe or put into words about doing this work, and about teaching, and about being a part of someone else's journey. Um, it's that creation of the collective consciousness that helps to raise up someone who's not feeling great, um, that helps to open other people who are wanting to raise themselves up even more, to go deeper within themselves, to really explore every nook and cranny where that junk hides, and how they create ways of ignoring it, and helping them to find ways to see it, to be honest, and peel back the layers and really find what's going on, so they can really be in that place of pure peace and love and contentment, and compassion. Um, that's a big one too, compassion. So, yeah, it's mostly inexplicable, but it's something that I've always, even in my sort of sabbatical over the past year, it's something in my heart that I know I'm supposed to be doing. And if it means that I have to then go back, as I did last year, and really examine my own journey, and take the time for myself to deepen within myself, to move on to the next thing, um, which I believe is what's happening now, is that what I was doing before was great, um, but the universe, God, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, has called me over the past year to move to a different place, and to teach from a different place, and to teach um, in a different way. And I do feel the difference. Um, and again, it's that old thing I keep saying, is whatever's in front of me is what I'm doing, and this is what's happening right now, and I'm like overjoyed to be having the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something really special, the energy in the room. And even speaking about the groups that you held, I mean, you just get 9 people into that room, and you and Peter would facilitate those meetings, and everybody felt like they were on the same team. And it's even more so than, I mean, you can go with 9 friends, after work for a drink or out I mean, I work at a restaurant. I see all the time groups of 9, 10 people. And usually with the more people that get brought along, the more shallow the conversation gets, because you kind of have to stay at like the lowest common denominator of somebody's ability to participate in the conversation. Um, and what's amazing and what I love so much about one-on-one interactions is that it's so much easier to go so much deeper. But in a setting where, a group therapy or a group, with that intention to focus on an aspect of our lives, um, the depth that can be reached in a group is just unparalleled, and that intention being set and the energy in the room. And when I look around and perhaps the facilitator is talking to one person in particular about some issue or story or problem that they're having, you just never see that kind of active listening from the people who aren't participating in the direct conversation. People, leaning in, nodding their head slowly. You can watch even the aha moments that you spoke to earlier about. You can see the aha moments in just the listeners, because something, while the circumstances might not be exactly the same, it's so relatable and so important to each person's soul that they it's like they're in the conversation too, and they're pulling from it, and you can see them make realizations of a new perspective or a new way to feel about a situation, or a possibility to look at it in a different way, um, or just some flat out education, something said in a way they've never heard it before, that gives them like a little bit of freedom from how much certain thoughts or certain feelings are controlling um, how they feel and how they think. And I think it's just it's a fascinating thing to be a part of, and you can even watch the listeners get it and then later chime in about their new realization and maybe try to frame something in a different way. And it's just, everybody is there for everybody's collective benefit, and it's such a collaborative process amongst which can be absolute strangers or just people you see for 2 hours once a week when you make it. Um, it's just amazing. It's like these people more than a lot of your friends, because the things that you're willing to share in that space, and to your credit, creating that safe space is something that you guys always did so well. Um, is amazing, and you feel a certain connection, and it really satisfies a real primal need we have for that loving connection in our lives. Everything we do is to satisfy those needs, and then it's just right in front of you, and you're getting better at life, and you're getting better at your relationship with self.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I think intention is a big thing as well.
Mm.
Everybody who comes has the same intention. It's that whole idea of there's got to be a better way, and wanting to find that better way, and wanting to be supportive and be supported. It's very important, and I think you're right. I think in big groups of people who come from different paths and different journeys, it's much more difficult without that common intention to have those kind of conversations. I find a lot of times in those types of conversations where you've got people coming from all walks of life, um, that active listening is not happening. And don't get me wrong, we had some group that were kind of like that, and I think one of the most memorable uh, classes we held for me was the week that I said, this week we are going to listen. Everyone will go around the room and everyone will have a chance to talk about themselves, whatever they want to say, whatever they want to share, and nobody else is to say a word, even at the end. Just be with what that person is saying, and the energy in that room and the feeling and the response I got from people after the class was amazing, because we don't learn how to listen in that true sense of the word. we listen with that background thought process going about, what am I going to say next? How am I going to answer that question? What am I going to, oh, I want to say this. And, and, and the conversation is just going out into the atmosphere, and it's not being absorbed by the people that are witnessing, or they're bearing witness to what that person has to say. And it doesn't matter what you're talking about, even if you're talking about your new car, or your kids, or your crappy boss, or whatever it is. Everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants to be supported, and everybody wants to be in that safe space where they can speak and just be held in that space, and have their words held in that space without an immediate reaction, response, whatever it is. So I love that part. I love, even if even if it has to be, someone sitting down and saying, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Um, it's setting that intention of that respect, and that supportiveness, and that love, and that intention to listen and really hear the other person without worrying about what the next words out of our mouth are going to be. Because when we are in that space, a response will come if it is needed, or if it is necessary, or if it is felt. So I really like that. It's like, so, I mean, I think we do that here on the show too. And I think the fact that we're in different physical localities has really, for me, been a great teacher in as far as, you know, doing that listening, and really being present with what's being said, what you're saying, and and waiting till you're finished, and trying not to think about the next thing, or jump in, or whatever it is. It's great practice for me, because I'm not always good at it either. Um, because I want to be heard just as much as the next guy, and but being consciously heard, and speaking consciously as well, I think is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, to your point about being heard and being listened to, I think there's something neat about the group dynamic where you have your facilitator and you have perhaps the person who has the focus on them at that moment. And when you have a good facilitator, you learn pacing in a way, because let's say there's 9 people in the room, one person's talking kind of um, in the direction of the facilitator. Then when they finish, it's so great for the other 8 people, because nobody feels the pressure of responding. Um, we are just here basically to bear witness, and sometimes it's like 2 minutes, and sometimes it's like 40, watching somebody process something as kind of the focal point of that meeting. And when they're done talking, and you can watch the pace of the facilitator, maybe just nod, not say anything for 3, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then they respond. The person who's speaking, or who was speaking, just the physical process of that, of not having somebody respond right away, you can't help but be like, wow, that was different. That was different. I felt like I wasn't rushed. I felt like I could say all the things I needed to, all the things I could conjure, and nobody was there to put their shading on it in response, or wanted to correct, or somebody felt a little bit offended, or somebody felt like maybe that what I said wasn't completely true. And letting it sit, and having those visceral 3 or 4 seconds for it just to sit, and have all these people just bear witness to what you said, where you feel seen and you feel heard, and for them not to respond, but you know that they've been listening. It's amazing. And if you don't experience that in your regular everyday life, that's reason enough to go, is to have that experience of not having a rushed conversation, and not having any expectation to respond to somebody else. And you can kind of watch as a fly on the wall, and just have whatever strikes your own story and your own perception of what you're there to share and collaborate with, bear out in somebody else's example. It's just so beautiful, and there's so much connection um, to others and to yourself, um, and just the pacing of it is such a gift.
Yeah, I think there's something more than just words that connects us. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's such a strong bond in the silence.
Yes. Yes.
I that like just saying that feels good. I mean, you can feel that when you just look into someone's eyes and that connection goes beyond words, beyond the body, beyond anything else, and you feel it. Um, that's really special to me. That's true connection. That is an example of the oneness of who we are and how we are joined on that soul level, on that on that level of loving presence. Um, that oneness, that's what it is. And it goes beyond words. It's very hard to explain in words something that is beyond the physical, and um, and so the lack of words can sometimes express that so much better.
Yeah. I love the way you put that. The bond in the silence. It's so accurate, and it's what we're all after, whether it be in a group setting or whether it be in a romantic situation. I mean, that's essentially why we do all the work, to connect with another person, so that we can have that feeling. That, I mean, it's like, again, I use the word again, but it's so applicable, that just that visceral bond and connection to another person in the silence. Uh, the intimacy of that moment is is incredible and so fulfilling, and just sets your energy right, just going forward. It just feels so good. You can go forth with such peace, having had an experience like that.
Yeah.
And so many, you will so many people struggle, and don't have the gift of feeling that bond in the silence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the things I miss about my dad the most, is because
Hmm.
he didn't talk a lot, but you were always comfortable in the silence with him. And it was okay not to have a conversation. And it was really interesting because when he did speak, everybody would be quiet because he spoke when he felt it was warranted. He spoke when it moved him to speak. He didn't just yabber on and on and on, um, as I sometimes do. Um, but he really, I think he really was very conscious in his listening and his speaking. When he was young, his father always said to him, if you're talking, you're not learning. And I think that was something he lived by. So yeah, the truth is in that silence and that stillness. And so when we can sit in stillness with another person, we know and we see and we feel the truth about who we are and who they are. So it's precious. It's so precious, and yet we do so little of it. Um, it's a bit of a shame. But
Yeah.
I do my part, and I try to do it myself as much as I consciously am aware of it, and forgive myself at the times when I forget, which is all you can do about anything in life.
Yeah. That's a nice tribute to your dad. Um, I also feel it too in group situations where you get together in a group, whether it be, you can be at yoga class. I think it's a big draw to yoga, but also group meditation, just for those 9 minutes or whatever, when everybody's doing the same thing, everybody's going within, and there's some centering in our individual energy that is also going on in each person in the room, and you feel that you are all doing the same thing, you're all giving off the same energy. And there's something really neat about that, because normally in a room full of people, everybody's going at different, I know this, it's a little bit airy fairy, but everybody's going at a different vibration. Everybody's focused on different things. But to have a guided group meditation, there's this thickness in the air, that is palpable for me, and it's consistent, and it's predictable, and I can rely on it every time I do it, and it just feels great. It absolutely feels great. And it's kind of a segue into finishing off this show here with, I know it's over video, and whoever comes and watches is going to be in a different place on this hurtling rock, but to feel that common intention. And it'd be wonderful, Bettina, if you could finish us off with something like that.
Absolutely. I usually start my group sessions and classes with meditation, because everybody comes in so busy and chattering, and we do the meditation, and you can feel the difference in the energy, and how everybody has just settled down, and gotten into this really nice, quiet, open space. Um, so yes, I would love to do a meditation right now. Let's close our eyes and take a deep breath and breathe deeply into your diaphragm, and allow that beautiful breath of life to fill your body and to absolutely touch every cell of your being. The fire of life that moves us forward, that calls to us to be in stillness, that shows us the way when we feel lost and struggling, that speaks to us in moments when we most need the help, that gives voice to our concerns, compassion to our pain, and wisdom on our journey. Breathe into this space. It is there for you every minute of every day. And a breath, an intention, and awareness will take you to this beautiful calling at any moment, at any time, in any experience. Remember who you are and what it is that is accessible to you deep within. So remove the cobwebs and all those old and unused patterns, so that you can see the truth with clarity and understanding. And when you're ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes and bring yourself back to the world.
I love when you invoke us to focus us, have us breathe into a feeling, breathe into some corner of peace within inside of ourselves. It always stands out for me, and always reminds me, beyond breathing deeply, sending the breath to a place feels wonderful.
Yeah, great.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us this week, and we'll see you all again next.
Have a great week, everyone.